Today, I want to talk to you about the transformative power of doing deep work. Some of you out there are probably stuck. I know a lot of you are because I know I was. And being stuck is something that is a little confusing, a little daunting, and maybe even a little frightening because you don't know what you don't know and you're not really sure how to even ask the question, right? Well, deep work is about mindsets. It's about beliefs, behaviors, and habits that are causing you to be stuck, whether it be financially, whether it be emotionally, whether it be physically, or even spiritually. What deep work does is it helps you dig deep, that's why we call it DeepWorks, into what's holding you back. Now, for me, when I first started working as a business psychologist, as a business coach, and as a life coach, my deep work was around my belief that I wasn't good enough to teach people the things that I'd already learned, the experiences that I already had. And I had to take the time that it takes and sit with someone who had more skill than I did in helping me identify what those beliefs and blocks were. A lot of the time when I am talking to my coaching clients, whether they be a professional, whether they be a consultant, a coach, a business owner, a CEO, what I have found is that the beliefs, the habits, and the behaviors that limit your ability to achieve what you're looking for generally are those that are not really your own. They're beliefs that you've picked up over time. They're habits that you picked up over time. They're behaviors that you have done to the point where you start to say, this is just who I am. This is just how I have been. Have I always been what we've always done? But it might actually not even be yours. What I have found in my work with clients as we dig deep is that a lot of times it's their mother's habits or beliefs, or their father's habits or beliefs, or their friends' habits or beliefs that they have taken ownership of. So I'm going to ask you, whose beliefs, behaviors, and habits have you taken on? For example, I grew up really, really poor. I grew up in the projects as a child of divorced parents, of one of 15. So we never had anything. Nothing. I wore hand-me-down clothes my entire life. And considering I had two sisters older than me, I had a lot of hand-me-downs. I also was a kid who was always hungry. Honestly, I might still be. But I had this belief, based on the fact that we hardly ever had any food, that food was something that was hard to come by. Now, for a lot of people, that kind of lack of food shows up as eating all the time, right? And gaining weight. And basically, in a sense, going into protective mode to make sure that you have something. Now, I was the kid that would be so hungry that when I was a child and in elementary school and even into junior high school, I can remember being so hungry that I would eat toilet paper to fill my tummy. And it sounds like, why would you do that in this day and age? You probably can't imagine a child doing that. But when you have brothers or sisters at home and they're all hungry as well, and some of them are younger than you, whatever little food that there is going to go to the ones that are younger than you. And then you just figure out what you're going to do. But here's the funny thing. That lack, that wish for food showed up in my life as an adult. And it showed up in my life as a need to always have my refrigerator full and always have my pantry full. even to the point of throwing away food, so that I would fill my refrigerator and then the food would go bad because I couldn't eat it all. So I'm winding up throwing away food, which of course is wasting money. But in my mind, I'm protecting myself from the lack. And it wasn't until I sat with these thoughts and sat with, why do I do these things? Where did that come from? Because I didn't like the thought of throwing away food, of wasting food, that I actually started to realize that that behavior was coming from something that I had internalized as a child. And so I'm saying to you that when you look at the beliefs, the behaviors, and the habits that you have, and you're identifying the ones you want to keep and the ones you want to throw away, a lot of times those beliefs and behaviors and habits are from things that happened to you in childhood. And when you can tie that back, you can then start to make a difference. You can intentionally choose a different path. I tell you what, when I started to understand that I was filling my pantry and filling my refrigerator and throwing away food because of my lack of food when I was a child, I then could start to understand how to change it. And I could set an intention. I could make a decision that I no longer wanted to do that, and I wanted to buy food that was healthy for me, but I didn't want to overbuy because I didn't need to be protected anymore. I didn't need to feel like there was going to be a lack thereof. I no longer need to have that sense of security that came from having a full refrigerator and having a full pantry. And being able to identify that particular one behavior was able to do a couple of things for me. One, I can then intentionally choose the foods that I want to eat that are healthy for me. And I can intentionally say it's okay because I will have the funds available. I do have the funds available to go get the food that I want when I want this. Now, that's a very basic and minor, what may seemingly be a minor issue. But that particular behavior plays over into so many other habits that are formed around money, around relationships, because you feel like you're going to always be in a space of lack. And God says, be anxious for nothing. And so if you're sitting around and you're anxious about something that you fear, which is really not true because we know fear isn't real, but if you're sitting and you're anxious and you have a sense of lack, whether that be love or food or relationships or money, you can tie those behaviors back to some beliefs and some habits that showed up from when you were a child and are influencing and creating the habits and the behaviors that you're having today, that you're doing right now, that aren't serving you. Intention helps you to decide on the results that you want to have in your life. Intention allows you to identify specifically what actions you want to take to get to those results, and to identify the beliefs and the habits and the behaviors that are keeping you from doing what you want to do, having what you want to have, and being who you want to be. So if you aren't becoming who you want to be, and you're not doing what you want to do, and you're not having what you want to have, you can easily change it. All you got to do is spend some time taking a look at the beliefs that you believe, the habits that you have that you do not want to have as habits anymore. Make a choice. Set an intention. Start taking action. Now know this, disruption will show up, meaning it's not going to be easy. You will hear these voices, these thoughts about what it really means and what people will think, and you have to push past that with a mental picture of what you actually will have when you're able to change that behavior. What's the result that I got as a result of changing that behavior? One of the best. A clean refrigerator, y'all. I don't have leftover food that I have to throw away. I have more money in my pocket because I'm not buying the food that I don't need. I have a pantry that doesn't have an abundance of things. Imagine this. It's just me and my hubby. But yet, when you would go to my refrigerator, it was filled to the brim. My pantry filled to the brim. We didn't need that because we eat fresh. We eat lots of vegetables and fruits. And so we buy fresh. And I have a garden and I grow fresh. So why am I buying more and more and more food that we are not going to eat? I want you to sit down and think about the behaviors and then look at who you were as a child. What did your life look like? And I'm not saying that you have the same belief in the issue that I had, but there's something that's coming from your past that's influencing your current, and it will continue to influence your future if you don't take the time to look at it and see who you are becoming, what you are doing, and what you are having. And if it is not what you want, you can change it intentionally.